Welcome to the Lead Every Day show. Our mission is to see a world well led. And our strategy to get there? To empower leaders like you to lead every day. So let's get to work.
Years ago, I was living out in Fort Worth, and the Texas Rangers had just won the opening baseball game of the season. Now, I know it'd be easy to believe that now. They just won the World Series, but back then they were horrible. They were terrible. The sportscaster comes on at the end of the day, and he says, you can't win them all if you don't win the first one. I thought he was nuts because you'd never win all the baseball games in a season, 162 of them, but his point was well taken. Welcome to the Lead Everyday Show. I'm Randy Gravitt.
And I'm Mark Miller.
And we're excited today to talk about winning every day. It's going to be a good conversation here as we think about it. Now, if you go back to the story about the Rangers when they were horrible, they did win the first one. They got off to a good start. I think there's a correlation there for us as leaders as we think about winning in our lives. It really does start by winning the first hour of the day. I think if we can win the first hour of the day, we're set up and we've got a shot of winning the rest of them. But if we lose the first hour, for me in the past, it just goes downhill after that. The morning routine is a big part of our plan. And so as people are thinking about writing their plans out, and we're sharing it with our buddies and trying to get input and all that, let's don't forget that our plan is going to be made up of routines and habits and all kind of things. And it starts with that morning. Talk to me, because I know you're not the most routine guy in the world.
Yeah, but I understand the value and the merit. I will speak on behalf of the listeners who may not be routine oriented. I still want us to explore this, because my cut on it is you still need to be doing the right things. And sometimes it may be good for us, good for me, to put some things in my life that might not be natural. They might not be my default. But I want to see if in the next few minutes we can share some of those right things. And if you're not a morning person, then maybe you do those things later in the day. But my encouragement to folks is, are you doing the right things? Now, I will say this, on the heels of that, I do have one routine that I am sold on.
Okay, can't wait to hear this. That's what you got.
Absolutely sold on it. I got to get my Starbucks.
It's your routine.
I've got that. I was in a hotel last week somewhere. I think I was in Minnesota. They were proudly serving Starbucks.
Yeah, you're like a 4-pump, whatever.
So I don't get into all that. So I went down, I don't know, it was 5:15 or so, and they said, well, we don't open till 6:30.
And you're like, that's a problem.
Well, I sat there. And at 6:30, I'm the first one.
You're ready.
I was working. I didn't take a nap, but I was there. And I said, hi, I'd like to get a venti 4-pump mocha.
You're
all that. And she said, our machine doesn't work.
Oh my goodness.
Not to be dissuaded, I pulled out my app and found out I could walk to the closest Starbucks.
You should have done that earlier.
I should have done that
been there 45 minutes earlier.
So I do have that part of my
That's your
life
routine.
That is this morning.
Yeah.
Really, really early, before all you guys showed up, I made my way to Starbucks. So that's the part I can speak to.
You got a routine going there. I think the point for me when I think about this, because I'm not the most routine guy either, but I do value that if I'm going to win all the hours, I've got to win all the hours. I can't start at lunch or whatever.
That's fair.
But my caveat there is to the leader who's listening is you get to decide. Like what you do during that hour is up to you. I mean, there's all kind of things that you can do. Are there some things that I think your Starbucks is a good example. It's like, that's the way. It's a new day. You're sitting there, you're going,
So with my coffee, we've discussed in previous episodes that I am reviewing a summary of my plan every morning.
Every day.
Which includes my purpose and my key roles, which are a steward, a servant, and a student.
Okay.
And key activities in various areas of my life. And so I'm reviewing that every morning. And I read scripture. I'm reading, this year I'm reading through the New Testament. And so that's as much of a routine as I've got right now.
Yeah, that's great though. I mean, it's and again, for every leader, I think it's you get to decide. Like for you, it's your coffee and your review of your plan. I would say for everybody here, if you're creating a plan, be really good. You said it. The more we review it, the more likely we are to do it. It's we could probably tweet that out. I mean, that's a good thought there to review the plan every day. But then pick your other stuff. You know, there might be some people who want to exercise that first hour. That's great. If that gets your blood flowing.
I do that sometimes.
You do that sometimes?
I don't really like that.
That's probably more sporadic than strategic.
Well, I'm working on that too. I've got a CrossFit trainer now.
Yeah.
Did I tell you that?
No, you didn't.
I've got a CrossFit
but you're looking
well,
great.
I'm working on
That's
it.
good.
Yeah. So
yeah, you're doing that, and then you know I know I got a buddy who what he calls a gratefulness walk. He just walks around his neighborhood. It's a couple miles, 30 minutes. He walks around and he thinks about it's gratitude walk. Thinks about all the things that he's grateful for, and he said it just sets his mind on some positive stuff. And I know other people who you know, they pray or I mean it's like, well, you read something in the morning, something positive to get your mind set. Review not just your plan for the year, but what's your to-do list for the day? What are the things? And I think there's all kind of ways to think about, but that morning routine is a powerful one. So let's win the first hour of the day. Now there's another hour in the day that I mean, we want to win all the hours, but I think if I can do anything else to really help me, it's to win the last hour of the day. And this is one where I struggle. I'm kind of a night person. And if I'm not careful, I'll just rake everything aside. And, you know, at the end of the day, I'm watching something on a screen that it's you know, I need to be resting. There's some things there that I think about as well, and you may think about your evening routine as well.
Well, it's interesting.
It's an important part.
I'm probably more inclined toward an evening routine. You mentioned reviewing your schedule in the mornings. I'm going to review mine at night for the next day.
Yeah.
I actually will try to go back. I got this idea from John Maxwell years ago, and I'll take those roles and I have questions associated with them.
That you're asking
what
yourself
did I learn
at the end of the
today?
day.
Who did I serve today? Would God be proud of my stewardship of today?
Yeah.
Those assessment questions linked to my key roles.
Yeah.
So to me, that's a good kind of way to end the day.
Yeah, that's good. I think some other things that I would suggest people consider is what would it look like for you to de-screen for the last hour of the day and to, I mean, just shut it down. And
they say you sleep better.
You sleep better. That's exactly right. And your energy's going to be better, all kind of stuff the next day. You know, I've got a buddy who says what's next is about what's now. I mean, what's now is about what's next.
All right, say that again.
Yeah, what's now is always leads to what's next. And I think that is such a good reminder that evening routine actually is going to have a lot to say about what happens tomorrow if I'm not careful. And so, yeah, it's the end of the day. Are there some, you know, one of the things my wife and I, we've tried to do through the years is if there's any kind of disagreement or strife at the end of the day, like we don't want to go to bed angry. I mean, that's just, you know, and I think if you don't go to bed angry, it's hard to be upset 2 days in a row.
You don't wake up angry.
You don't wake up
angry.
You
didn't go to bed
angry. If you can release that. So those are some things too that you can think about. I've read Ben Franklin had his 13 rules of temperance or whatever he called them. He had virtues, 13 virtues. I don't even know what they're called. I just know the story. He had all 13 of them and supposedly written out on a page each in a book, and he reviewed those every single day and had himself some questions like you're talking about that he asked himself at the end of each day if he was winning in those areas. And I think that's powerful. And then I think he worked on one of them each week. I mean, he'd take a whole week and just cycle through them every quarter. It sounds like he had the first cell phone way back in the day where he was working on that. But I love this idea that we have a chance to, again, assess and adjust at the end of the day. We don't have to do every day the same. We really can get better if we'll be thoughtful about it and we can win. So, and be intentional. That idea of really some focus that we talked about the other day. So as we land this, I want to give you a challenge here, and that would be to create what we'll call a scorecard. So let's do it this way. Over the next 5 days, why don't you give yourself a score? You're either winning or losing when it comes to your morning routine and your evening routine. Now, before you create your scorecard, you'll have to have your routine. You get to decide again what that is. What are you going to do in the morning? What are you going to do in the evening? First hour, last hour. I think there's a good chance for you to do a reset here as you head into this next year. If you're going to have your best year ever, probably going to need to make some changes in your morning routine and your evening routine. If you get that locked down and then you carry out the routine for a day, you get a check mark in the morning, get a check mark at night. Let's see if we can win all 10 sessions over the next 5 days, morning and evening. I love having a scorecard to know if we're really winning or not. You go to a game, there's a big scoreboard. It says, are we winning? I think sometimes in our lives, we don't really think about the things that we want to be true, and then do we evaluate whether they happen or not. If we can do that, we'll really position ourselves to win. So that's it for today. I hope you'll share with somebody, friend or family member. Keep coming back. Thanks for helping us grow these downloads. It's pretty cool to see what's happening here. Remember, the best leaders lead every day.